Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're looking from. I want to say welcome today. We're so excited that we know it's Veterans Day week. It's really Veterans Day month, I was told, and that we wanted to take today just to recognize a few, and not only recognize a few, but just honor and say thank you. And so, as you come in today, my name is Leslie Montgomery. This is LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned. And we're here today with the beautiful Wanda Floyd. You know, Wanda, I started really because my dad, I'm a what they call an army brat. My dad was in the service, and I knew that part of it, but I really didn't dig into it till I decided to do this. And there's so much we don't know about it. So before we get started, I want to look in my mirror, as always, and I want to say that I see someone that is fearfully and wonderfully made. And when you look in your mirror, that's what I want you to see. I want you to see someone that has been created by a creator that created none other than you. And when he had you in mind, just the way he made you was the way he wanted you to be. Now, do we all go through issues and circumstances? Oh, we do. But in the process of it, we understand that um, we're going to make it through. I got a phone call. Go ahead, Wanda. Tell them who you are.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning in some places, afternoon, evening in some. My name is Wanda Floyd. I am a beauty industry professional. I'm a cosmetologist, licensed cosmetologist. I am the mother of 8 beautiful children. I am the owner and CEO of WLF Academy and the Brains and Beauty Business Academy, where we teach beauty industry professionals how to do business better. I am an author. I do some things in ministry, and I'm just happy to be here. Real excited about the topic today. So I think it's going to be amazing, especially if you have some people in your life that are a part of the military, who have served in the military. Maybe they are veterans or they are active duty members. So we're going to have a wonderful conversation this morning. And Janice on cooking. I've had people on, doctors on.
And thank you so much, Minister Wanda. It is a pleasure and an honor to have Daphne and Rodney on this morning. They have spent their life in the military, 30, what if it's like 34 years, something like that. And we really appreciate them coming on this morning. The other ones wasn't able to make it, but one said that they would love, well, two of them said that they would love to come back on and just share their story in the military. So I want you to understand that this is not just a happy story. I want you to understand that the military, those that have joined the military, have gone through a lot, and that they go through a lot. You know, we see them on the street, and sometimes we say thank you for your service, but we just say it because it's a nice thing to say. We have no idea what they've gone through. And I want to play a video of an older man that had never been acknowledged for what he has done. I was trying, and this is not a racial thing, but I do want to honor our people today. And I was, as many stories that was out there, there weren't a lot about our culture. And they served when my father served at a time where it was still segregated. Now, we as children didn't know. We lived on the base, we all played together. But what was segregated was that whatever your rank was, you couldn't play with those children. You couldn't be a part of their festivities. And I remember we had a friend that lived across the street from her, and this is where I got that name Yolanda from. Her name was Yolanda. And I said, you know what? when I grow up, I'm going to make my name Yolanda. I like that name, Yolanda. So I wanted to change my name to Yolanda because of her. I never heard of Yolanda before. So I know we only have a half an hour, but let me just play this one. Well, I'm going to be interacting the whole time, but I do want the Martins to really get a chance to speak to us on their own behalf, what it was like being in the military. And I really do thank them for coming on, but let me just play this. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
The ABC 7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
With Nurtec ODT, I can treat and prevent my migraine attacks all in one.
Don't take if allergic to Nurtec. Allergic reactions can occur even days after using. Most common side effects were nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain. Talk to your doctor about Nurtec today.
Okay. So what happened to the video?
Secret document.
Castle Aganolfi has been sitting high above the stunning Italian coastline for 1,500 years. There are many stories in its past, but there's one in particular that teaches us about America.
Between Georgia.
Italian historian Davide del Guadice takes me to this ancient fortress where during World War II, an incredible American soldier named Vernon Baker single-handedly did something unimaginable.
He destroyed one German tank and several bunkers.
Baker was part of a segregated African-American unit whose mission was to capture the castle. He set out with 25 men. Almost all were killed, the rest wounded. But he kept fighting, dodging minefields, knocking out machine gun nests and watchtowers, and taking on German after German. Thanks to his courage, the castle was captured and Baker was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. But with such an incredible feat, why not our highest award, the Medal of Honor?
Did any African Americans receive the Medal of Honor during World War II? The answer is no, during the World War II era.
There's a lot more to Colonel Kowalski Salter's answer, but first you have to hear the history of the black soldier in America.
Minorities in the military have always been an integral part of our military service.
From the Revolutionary War on, the African-American soldier has always distinguished himself with honor, fighting for our freedom, even though in many cases, freedom was denied to him. In fact, one of the most legendary units in our history is known as the Buffalo Soldier, all African Americans famous for their toughness.
Between 1866 and 1891, they were awarded 18 Medals of Honor.
Colonel Salter has a PhD in military history specializing in African Americans. He says Vernon Baker's story is just a glimpse at the realities of being black in World War II.
And so it was a secret document.
To truly understand, Colonel shows me a once secret document from 1925. It's from the Army War College, which at the time was where primarily white officers in the Army would go to further their military education.
The subject is the use of Negro manpower in war.
It's a hateful study the Army War College used right up to World War II, teaching officers about African American soldiers. It's 60 pages, but its main points are summarized on page 1.
The Negro is physically qualified for combat duty. He is by nature subservient and believes himself to be inferior to the white man. He cannot control himself in the fear of danger. He has not the initiative and resourcefulness. He is mentally inferior to the white man.
It turns back all of the great things that African Americans had done.
Due to this study and blatant racist stereotyping, African Americans weren't allowed to fight until late in the war, and that's when Vernon Baker and so many others proved that study wrong.
They were denied their nation's highest honor, but their deeds could not be denied.
In 1997, after a special review determined 7 African Americans were denied the Medal of Honor in World War II due to prejudice, Vernon Baker was the only one left among them.
And God bless you, Vernon Baker, and God bless America.
At a White House ceremony 52 years after his amazing feat, Baker receives the Medal of Honor. As a crowd stands, finally recognizing him for what he truly is, a hero, this soldier is moved to tears. It took an ancient castle in Italy to teach us about the great Vernon Baker and how character is the one true measure of a person.
When the war ended, there are many accounts of our brave African-American soldiers elated to board the ship home, but upon their arrival, the gangplank to shore split with a sign that said, whites one way, coloreds the other. The war against Jim Crow was far from over. And back to that study, so to speak, at the Army War College, you think about who it could have influenced. And you look at the graduates in that period they were using. General Patton, General Eisenhower, who then became President Eisenhower. And you wonder the effect it could have had on them.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. If I can come back to y'all. You know, it breaks my heart. Good morning, everyone. Let me say good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. It breaks my heart when I was going through and I was doing a research, and there are those that 50 years later were honored for what they did. If it was not for them, so many of the military would have been defeated. You know, I was and next month this time, they'll be talking about Pearl Harbor. And I went back and I was looking over that, and I didn't realize that we were not the only country that Japan was hitting at that time. Japan was going around, and I was like, oh my God. And the only thing we know is that they hit us. They hit so many different countries in the matter of the fact, but just to think that we take so much for granted. I remember my father coming home, and he was on a tour in Vietnam, and he broke his leg. So he was home for a small period of time while his leg was healing. And in the process of his leg healing, he would just sit in their room in this chair and listen to organ music. That was like his relaxation. I remember when he came back from the war, we were still on the base. And every day at 5 o'clock, they would do the salute. You had to stop. The military had to get out their cars. They had to salute the flag. And they would do the cannonball. And the cannonball must have hit somewhere near the house. And the mirror on the wall fell off. And he jumped and ran behind the sofa. And we was like, what? He thought he was still in the war. The mental effects that happen to our men and women that go over there, we have no idea. You know, we come back, we see the ones. I saw one with in the VA. They have a section with all the wounded men. We don't even think about the wounded men. They leave whole and come back wounded, come back without an eye, come back without a. I probably should have. I'm sorry, Daphne and Ronnie, but my desire is for people to understand that how important they are. You know, some people will look at them and say, oh, they just went in so they can get a college degree. And if there is a war, they are going to war. My nephew right now is on a tour. You know, he'll be gone till way after the holiday. He doesn't even come back to May or June, something like that. My other nephew, I was saying, he does martial arts now. But he's out of the country, you know, doing martial arts. But he served, Dr. Chuck Morris. He served in the military. My uncle, he served in the military. He was in the Marines. My nephew was in Marines. My nephew that's away is in the Air Force. I could have just did a show on them alone, but every family has many that sacrifice their lives, whatever the reason is. Some go in because they like to kill. Some go in because they don't have a family. Some go in to support their family for so many different reasons. And we take them for granted. And I remember when I tried to, I wanted to help. And I remember the red tape. I couldn't get in to really help them, but the red tape that was up to keep us from getting in and really seeing what's going on the inside. They come home. There's no appreciation. They come home. Some of them have no homes. They're on the street with signs, and that's just not Black. That's Black and white. The military does not really support them when they come home. And I think it's so sad. I think it's so sad. And Wanda, your daughter, we as a mother, and from the aspect of a mother, how does it feel on both sides, the happy side and the not happy side?
The happy side, very proud, because her grandfather served in the military as well, around probably a little bit before your dad. So I have the pictures of the segregated, company that he was with and all of that. He served in the Navy just like she is, and then retired from the Navy and went to the Coast Guard and retired from the Coast Guard. And so Pearl Harbor, all of that. I have all of the memories, all of the stories. And so when my daughter she actually first started talking about wanting to go in the service when she was about 15. And she started questioning me about it. She talked to her dad's brother, her uncle, because he had a son that was in the service. And we went down to a family reunion, man. She drilled her uncle about her cousin that was in the service. And she was adamant about going. And I remember her dad, as now Aaliyah was an excellent hairstylist, an excellent self-taught makeup artist. And, Mom, you could do hair, baby. And do
Right.
And she said, no, Mom, I want to go into the service. That will be plan B. And oftentimes we will try to put what we want on our children. And I thank Yahweh that I was smart enough to say, nope, if that's what you want to do, baby, that's what you want to do. Her dad wanted me to talk her out of it. I said, absolutely not. That's what she wants to do. And can I tell you, this young lady has made me so proud. I am so proud of her. I was concerned about boot camp. My baby, before she went, Miss Leslie, that girl would run every day for hours in the summer, preparing herself for boot camp training. She was like, I have to be ready.
She was adamant.
Yeah, she was not playing. And I'm like, baby, you can't be out there running. And she was like, Mom, chill. Everything she needed to do to enlist, she did it on her own. She went to the recruitment office. She met with the officers. They would pick her up, take her. I had to threaten them. Y'all taking my baby by y'all. Y'all be laughing, Daphne. I'm like, look, let me tell you something. America will be on fire. My baby. And I knew she was safe, but they're like, ma'am, she'll be fine. They picked her up, took her back, brought her back, and did everything that was needed to be done to enlist her. And that day I drove her to be sworn in. Man. And took her phone and put my baby on that bus. Ooh. And, not being able to talk to her, until she got to her destination, and making sure, please, first time away from home, baby, please don't get lost. Y'all don't lose my baby. None of that. She went through boot camp, and the stories about boot camp and what she had to go through, but her determination, we can't talk about that, but her determination of making it through boot camp. And I now have an official USS Sailor. I have a Sailor,
Amen.
right?
Amen.
So proud of her when I went to the graduation and being able to walk through the museum. It teared me up because I'm thinking about my dad and what he went through and how proud he would be. And then in 2020, when COVID hit and this ship was in the news, and my sister called me and she was like, "Sissy, is that Aaliyah's ship?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she sent me the article, and that was my baby ship. And I'm like, wow. And it's not because it's out now. Everything is out, everything that happened and whatnot. And my baby's, yeah, she went through a lot. And I'm so proud of her. She's been all over the world. Just now 22 years old because of being enlisted in the service. She's seen things that I haven't seen, stronger than I think that I will ever be. She's been to Japan. She's been everywhere, spent months in the Philippines because that's where they were. They could not leave until they could come back. And she endured all of that. And now she was first with aviation, and now she's with the fire department. So she's doing really well. The one thing that was scary for me, I would say, and I would really have to trust Yahweh, is because you do think about war. And every time there's an uprising or something, you begin to think about war. And this is what my daughter told me 2 years ago when I talked to her about it. She said, "Mom, I love Yahweh. I'm saved. And if I have to give my life for my country, that's what I'm going to do. I will die for my country." And to hear that as a mom, it kicks you in your heart and your stomach, but at the same time, you're so proud.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's good. And when I think about my dad, and he retired from the military, he was a drill sergeant on the base as well as home. When we would get in trouble, he'd line us up like soldiers, and we got disciplined like a soldier. But just to think the fact that when he went away, now this is my story, y'all. When he went away, I was happy. When they, and I would like, back then I was like, I hope he don't come back. He was so hard on us. And now when I think about, well, I've repented and all that from that. But back when I was young, I was happy when he had a tour and had to go away and leave us behind. But the fact that so many of them go in and their lives, they commit their lives. It wasn't until the 1800s when Black soldiers was allowed in. But those men were so proud to go in and for their country. They wanted to fight. And I believe that if they didn't go in and fight, that there would have been a whole lot more casualties. We know of the airmen that were top notch. We know of the Navy men that were top notch, that were men of color, that will never get the honor that they deserve for being that way. Some of them left here brokenhearted because they had to leave their families. Didn't know if they would see their families again. Didn't know when they would be back. Those that were drafted into the military, those that did not go to Canada because there was a draft, and they were drafted into the military. And they didn't even want to be in the military. They went to war. Some came back. Some didn't come back. But we take it for granted. That's their job, to protect us. Not to
yeah.
I went and I was going to enlist, and I remember them going through the video and how my skirt had to be able to stand up on top of the ironing board. That's a long time ago. I don't know what they do now. But if your skirt could not stand up on top of the ironing board, your skirt was not ironed right. And you had to wear your makeup a certain kind of way. You couldn't just wear makeup. These are just easy things. but I changed my mind. I was like, I ain't enlisting, but that my next step was to enlist. And the fact that um, I was going to go into the military. And I think about it, out of all my dad's children, and there's 5, 6 of us, nobody went into the military. Not one of us. And if you look at other homes, that they have children that followed behind them, like you said, your daughter, we didn't. We didn't. So, Daphne and Rodney, you spent the majority of your years in the military, your youth years, I'll say. And what was that like for you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm emotional.
Well, maybe we should start with Ronnie. Ronnie, tell us. Talk to us, Ronnie. Get yourself together. Ronnie, talk to us, because I know I can imagine.
Fine.
Yeah, good morning.
Let Rodney go first.
Yeah, we understand that. It touches your heart. So
Yeah, she's an emotional person.
Yes.
yes.
No, when I went in 1980. I still had drill sergeant from Vietnam. It wasn't easy because they thought they were still in Vietnam. That's how they trained us.
Wow.
Yes. But they taught us teamwork. That's the main thing, was teamwork. If somebody mess up, everybody mess up. So everybody get punished for one person. So we had to make that person strong. And that's how we got through basic training in ART.
Yeah.
But it was still racist. It was still in there.
It's still there now.
It's still in there now.
Yeah.
You could work, you could go to a certain town, especially down south. But now, when they see uniform, now they say, thank you for the service. When you take that uniform off, you're a black man. That's the difference. At one time, we had to keep our uniform on so we could get service.
So you can get respect.
Yeah, we said we was in Indiana.
Yeah.
We took that uniform off, nobody ain't gonna talk to us.
Wow.
These are all y'all black. Put that uniform on. Thank you for the service. I'm looking at this country is something.
It is. It
That
is.
uniform. That's good.
It's the uniform. That's it.
Yeah. Other than that, you just a black man.
Black man.
And we know what they called us. You know.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad because you don't work any different than the Caucasians.
Yeah, we all bleed the same way.
All bleed.
I
the
bleed,
same.
y'all bleed. I'll bleed red.
Mhm.
Just the color of the skin is different.
Yeah. And I
Absolutely.
think that that's something we need to really respect and honor.
Right.
That even though it's America, it's not America.
No.
Yeah, for them,
It's broken.
Yes.
Right. It's broken.
Yeah.
And our men and women miss out on so much. It's no difference than everything else they do with us. And we come back and people don't even know what they go through. They have to be, their mind has to be detached from the military in order to survive in society.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's different,
Yeah.
and it's just so much. I was learning so much. I was like, oh my God, I can't even speak about all the things I was learning from just researching. We take it for granted. Don't take the military for granted. Yes, they're here to protect your lives, and yes, they're here to do their country good service. And don't take that for granted.
Absolutely.
Few years ago, I don't even know if I can say, probably can't mention this, but we're now in a place that if the military is not in format, and the military, they keep cutting it down. And after a while, we might not have enough military to protect us. I don't know. But they say that the government's money is causing them not to be able to keep the military in a place to protect us. And I think that there's some underhandedness to that as well. And I'm not going to go into that. But okay, Daphne, you look like you kind of got yourself together.
Yeah, because let's talk about, Mr. Ronnie talked about being a Black man in the military, and he can go much deeper into that because I know even my dad and Miss Leslie's dad, the segregation that they dealt with. And, you know, like he said, while that uniform is on, you're respected. But honestly, in my dad and Miss Leslie's time, that uniform almost didn't get them the respect that was necessary. But one of the things that my concern was, Daphne, when my daughter was going in, was the treatment of women in the military. And what gave me so much ease, because growing up, I did not see a lot of women in the military. When we would go to the naval base or the Army base and the naval hospital, there weren't a lot of women in uniform. And then the stories of growing up and then becoming an adult, of how women were treated in the military was one of my greatest concerns for my daughter and what branch she went into. So talk to us, Daphne, about being a woman in the military and what that was like.
One thing I want to just say, Minister Wanda, is that I always tell the young women, I'm always working. I have not retired from the military in my mind. There's a young lady in my housing area where we live now. She's in the National Guard. She's deploying in January. So I went down, I introduced myself. I spoke to her and I asked her several questions, and I introduced myself. I said, well, I'm Sergeant Major, retired. She was elated. Okay. So I said, I want to talk to you, and I'm here, my number and everything, reaching out, giving her that, because in the military, first of all, it was hard for me. What got me through the military the most is that I continue to educate myself. So that's one of the things that elevates minorities. You have to complete the school levels that the military have for you. There are like 4 different school levels that you go through. And I want her to continue to, you share that with her, educate, because when you're in the military, they pay for your college and everything. The benefit for us now is online courses. So have her to do online courses. So that falls back upon her educational background. And then when it's time for promotion, they look at that. Oh, do you have college education? Yes, she has an associate, she has a bachelor's, she has a master's. So I want you to notify her with that. The other thing is that I'm always here for everybody, all military personnel, females in particular. I'm your friend. I can be that backdoor person now. I had a situation with my little cousin involving, what's the word? Inappropriateness and all of that stuff. So by me being the backdoor channel, I could guide her and direct her. And I want you to tell, it's Aaliyah, right? Aaliyah, because I really wanted her to be on this morning. I had a dream with her this morning. I just really wanted to see her. I want her to tell her to document her career. If it's anything that she sees or feels inappropriately, I want her to document that and also send that right home to mom. Write a letter. Mom, my seaman said something inappropriate. He said this. I think it was out of context, this and that, whatever. We need all that documented because all this stuff still goes on today. Okay. I was the EO in the military. I was the EO. I was the SARC, which was the sexual assault, rape, and prevention personnel, like for all the young ladies. I wore so many titles. That's why I say I haven't retired. It's a good thing y'all save me for last because I talk a lot. I have a lot to say though. And me being a female, number one, that was the thing. Not being educated, they look at that. I was going up for promotion. I was preparing my packet, and my command sergeant major was going through my military packet. So I played the stupid role with her. I said, Sergeant Major, what do I need to get promoted? She said, exactly what she said. She said, oh, maybe a few college courses. I said, oh, okay. She said, you have that? I said, yes, I have that. I have that. So she's going through my record, and I'm just stupid. I'm not saying anything. So she goes through my record. She sees an associate's degree. Then she sees a bachelor's degree. Then she sees a master's. She goes, you got him, you got him. And I just said, yes, Sergeant Major. I said, you never asked me that. You just assumed that I had a few college credits. That was it. So my battle was, you have to keep up with the school, and the military assigned schools for you, like 4 different levels as you go up in rank. Then you have to keep up with the civilian world education. So I want her to, number one, like I said, document any and all inappropriate behavior, okay, at all times. And then educate herself. Now, in the military, the only people who really can somewhat fight for us is Congress. Keep that in mind. You as parents, we're on the outside now. If there's anything that goes wrong, we can write Congress first. The military personnel can write Congress, but what's holding us back, what's tying us down? We're in the military. But if you, as the civilian, as the mom, you write Congress, then things will get acted upon more so than with the military. Because see, how they hold us back in the military, number one, for people of color is racism. Number two is uniform code of military justice. So when you do something, you always have to be in line with that uniform code of military justice. If not, that's what they're going to lay the law down, and that's what they come in getting you with. Okay? So it's still hard today. Racism has not completely gone away. I was running, I worked together. When I say he's my battle buddy and everything, I was running supervisor. And there was an incident where they were trying to bring the command sergeant major up on charges. At that time, Ronnie and I were just friends. Were we married? No. We weren't married. But a conversation was overheard. She referred to Ronnie as the big black N-word. Yes. A soldier heard it. He brought it back to the commander and the NCOs. He brought that back because he thought that was very inappropriate of her. Well, they swept it under the rug because they said, oh, it was a conversation between A and B, and C overheard it. But C didn't really have witnesses that he heard the conversation. So that's how they swept it under the rug. So not knowing, Ronnie and I were real good. Well, they knew, everybody in the whole world knew Ronnie and Daphne. That's all they ever saw. And so that same sergeant major said to me, she used my heart. Yahweh be praised. She said, Sergeant Angel, you don't belong in the military. I said, excuse me? She said, yeah, you don't have a heart to, you can't punish the soldiers. What did you say? I didn't know how to. I was too kind, so I couldn't punish the soldiers the right way and everything. I said, really? I said, why don't you let the soldiers be the judge of all of that? So she did. And they said, no. Sergeant Angel is not mean, but whatever she say, we get it done. We do it. She don't come down hard on everybody. She doesn't have to do all that to get us to do anything. So with that, she sent me to be the EO. I had to go train. Now I'm training to become the equal opportunity person for our unit. So good. That was one thing you did for me in my favor. So she trains me. I come back, and then everything they taught me, now I'm telling you, you're wrong with that. You can't do this. You can't do that. So it kind of worked out for me because now I was able to help the rest of the personnel. And she was the other people too. We have the she's and the he's, and so. I think that was one of her challenges for us, really. She literally tortured the whole company. She used it, but I went to the head sergeant major, command sergeant major one day. I fought it with Yahweh's words. And the other thing for me is I had an office. And I always had Isaiah 59:17 on my door. No weapon formed against me. So all of the young troops, the soldiers would come into my office and sit down and talk. And I was always there to help them. So I went further one day to the command sergeant major over her. And I sat down and I told him, and at first he was not listening. I said, a lot of young ladies have a problem. I have a problem with sergeant major, command sergeant major. And he named mind you, he himself was an African-American person. He named all these females. He said, well, the only person having a problem with her is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that, those personnel. He named those people. And I said, Sergeant Major, what do all those females have in common? He said, oh. I said, yes. They were all like us. He said, oh, I see what you mean. And from that, he started thinking, and then they got the ball rolling, and they removed her because she was just torturing people. I don't know if I think part of it was because it was her rank structure. And then I think the other part was that you had a field of brown and black people, and then you were a little different. Your color was a little bit lighter than theirs. And so you used that to your benefit. So racism is still there. I had to learn words that I've never heard. I've never heard spit, wasp. Anybody use those words? The N word, spit, wasp, nigger, wetback. They call the Saudis, they call them the sand N words. And I had to put these words up to say that if anybody uses these words towards you, that's a disparaging word. So the best way to help our young people is by educating them, because education elevates.
Yeah, and that's good. I think about my dad. My dad he actually did all the qualifications, but he would not go any further. He refused. He said that because of the racism, he was not going to put himself in that predicament. So, Daphne, how old were you when you joined?
18.
You were 18. And in the process of you joining at 18, yeah, that was a young age. What was your mindset like?
It was like Minister Wanda said, it was scary. Well, there were a lot of firsts for me joining the military. The first time I left home, the first time flying on an airplane, not knowing where I was going. The first time and see, here's how the military works. They're good with this. Wherever you're from, they're going to send you to the opposite. So right. I was from the South.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I'm from the South, and they sent me up here, up north. This is where I was shell-shocked because I trained at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And during basic training,
that's where we were stationed. Well, one of the places we were stationed.
Yes, Fort Dix, New Jersey. Shell shock when I got here in training, because the drill sergeant literally pulled out all the personnel. He said, I need everybody from New York, from Philly, and from Chicago. Okay, what's going on? He said, now I need all of y'all to drop your knives and all. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is he for real? He was serious. And that was happening too within the platoons. You had always had New York and Philly for some reason, always fighting each other, always on the warpath, and Chicago. So it was traumatizing. The reason I said for Aaliyah to document everything is because she's young in her youth. And I was 18. There was a drill sergeant that the thing is, he was not married. He was handsome, but he was trying to take advantage of a young person, a young me. But I saw him, I'm like, oh, you're too old for me. I'm 18. I don't want no older man. So what he did is he punished me. We had a pass. There was a young gentleman that was liking me in the platoon. So what he did is he took away that young man's pass to prevent the two of us ever having contact with each other or going on pass together, whatever. He did that, and he tried so hard. So I did not know that's a sign of a harassment. That could be a sign right there. Then there was another time when I was in the military. I had gotten married, and I had duty every week. That's not the way it was supposed to have gone. So I went to the sergeant and I said, why am I having guard duty every single week? That's not supposed to happen. He says to me, another indicator, which I didn't realize, he said, you don't have anything to offer. I said, what? I said, what does that mean? Somebody else pulled my coattail and said, you're married. You're off the market. So I wasn't free to just ramp and roam. And I saw, so it's challenging, very challenging for females in the military. Very, very challenging because it's not, unless you have the rank. See, I use my rank to fight for others because once you go up the rank structure, because see, in order for me to strip me down now, in order for them to strip me down at that time as a master sergeant, they couldn't do it. It would have taken the act of Congress. So they had to go above, and Congress was going to look at that. I had credentials set in, I had the education, I had everything. So they couldn't strip me down. So I used that.
So one thing you said about education, and one thing I was noticing is that they say that the military has the most high rank of educated individuals than the civilians do. And that a lot of times people feel like because they went into the military that they didn't get the proper schooling that they needed. But they said that there's a higher percentage of college students educated. My father was very educated. He was a college school student, very educated in the military. So Daphne, we're almost at the, I'm sorry, Wanda, were you getting ready to say something?
I was, when Daphne was saying that it's very challenging for women in the military, thinking about some of the things that Aaliyah has kind of dealt with, or some of the women, you will get commanding officers that feel like you're a woman, you shouldn't be here. So they will make it hard for you, especially because you're weak, you can't. So women have to work 3 times as hard to prove that they can do the job. When she started out, she was on an aircraft carrier, and some of the stories, and Mom, we got to be careful because when that plane come in, or when that plane leave, Mom, you could fly off the ship. And it's like, what? And she had to learn how to hold her own. But she also had, like Ronnie was saying, nobody gets left behind. We're a team. That's and right. She had other sailors looking out for her as well. But she has had the experience where she's had commanding officers that have been very hard on her. Just kind of like what Ronnie was saying, you know, he was trained because they had been through Vietnam, so they were being trained like that. And she's had officers that were like extremely extra hard just because she was a female. She was a woman. And she would call when she could call crying, and when she was away, she's witnessed people taking their lives.
That's right.
Jumping off the boat.
She that right there, Minister Wanda, that needs to be documented, because that right there is trauma. And eventually for her, that could lead to PTSD. Right there. That's enough right there. And that literally seriously has to be documented. Even you just said that over this broadcast. I'm witnessing that. Ronnie is witnessing that. We're all witnessing that. PTSD, if she literally witnessed someone to take their lives somewhere when there's time.
They don't make the news.
And that doesn't make the news. And when she comes home, when she has time, you have to right there. That's a cue for mental health illness. Now, I had to go to mental health, and here's the other thing, Minister Wanda, she's still young, and I want you to take this seriously. When I broke down with mental health in the military, I was up there at that level of rank where they told me, oh, you're up here, so you shouldn't have any problems, any issues. I suppressed a lot of my issues because they bully you with your rank. With your rank, you're supposed to be able to mentor the lower enlistees, and they look up to you. So I myself could not get help. I wasn't able to until I had a colonel who really saw me one day, and he said, you know what, Sergeant Angel, I am going to write a letter for you to get 60 days of mental health, physical health, all kinds of medical assistance. I need you to go through that. Well, I went through that 60 days, and I came out with everything but the rifle.
Yeah.
So
it can be challenging. It really can be challenging. And, you know, there's only so much that can be said, but just the mental drain, the mental anguish of, especially we, like Prophet Leslie was saying, we don't realize what they're going through. When you're deployed on a ship for 6 months at a time, young people that have never been away from home, they can't see their family and all of that. You know, literally it was her downloading the word on her phone, being able to download movies, and, you know, she would write letters, or we write letters. It take them forever to get to them. But it was listening to the word on her phone that helped keep her. And a lot of people could not handle it. They couldn't handle the mental stress of being on the water for 6 months, coming back for a little while, just a little while, and then going right back out. Like, you know, and then your parent or your mom, your dad, not even being able to contact you and can understand her wanting to be home. I thought her being in Japan was the greatest thing. She was like, Mom, those four, when she was counting down the months, you know, because she didn't like being that far away.
And it's a culture. It's a culture shock.
It's a cultural thing. She got around well. She did well. I was able to go in January to be there and be with her and see her. But even things she discussed with me about where she was and what was going on, and she was counting the months when she could come back to the States. You know?
I think about that.
I want to say this one thing, Minister Wanda and everybody, and I'm not trying to be, I want you to be cautious. This is called intel. You know what intel is?
Yeah, yes, that's why I said
Yes,
there's only so
so
much I can say. Yes.
right. So there always be reminded that there's only so much we can share.
Yes.
And especially with what's happening now, and the Blinken came out and literally said it. I recorded it. He said an American passport right now is worth $1 million.
Yes, yes. Be
So
careful going out the country.
Yes, and Ronnie and I, we were scheduled to go to Jerusalem on the 29th. Lo and behold, this broke out. So I was leaving all my documentation behind, anything that tied me into the military. But then lo and behold, now it's on your license. Automatically on your license that you're a veteran. So I just want that security there to be safe and precaution for them.
Oh, absolutely. She wanted to be back in the States because she wanted to be able to be closer to her family.
Well, when she gets out the Navy,
she's not coming out.
No, I'm just saying.
Retiring.
Make a suggestion if she wants to be closer. See, remember, all of our military branches serve a certain purpose. You're in the Navy, you're going to be in the waters out there all the time. You're in the Army, you're always going to be on land, and the Army has more bases that can connect you more closer to home, as opposed with the Navy and the Marines and stuff. But I understand she wants to be in the Navy, but she's just starting. And you know, it gets better as the years go by. But like I say, yes, what we can do is write her, send all the little trinkets and gifts and stuff, and let her know, like I said, I'm here fighting. I fight for my female military personnel 100%. Ronnie can tell you that. I advocate for it. I'm sorry. Absolutely. But that's just me. I thank you. So now you have, not only do you have a military person, you have a veteran, because see, people don't understand. Here's the thing. You have to complete 180 days. You have to complete 180 days of service before you become a veteran. So you can be military, but if you don't go past 180 days, that's a little secret. Not everybody knows that either. And a lot of people, because I have to help people to understand, well, I can't go to the VA and they won't see me, this and that. But what happened? Okay, let me see your DD 214. Okay, here's the problem. You did not serve 180 days. If you're short of 180, they don't have to say that you're a veteran, and you don't have to get that status. So for Aaliyah, I'm so thankful and grateful. And I have written a poem. I have written something, but for people, you guys are awesome. You attacked it all. It was just something I had written, and I was going to share. It's just for people to think about.
So 1 minute before you share it, because my father died from the Agent Orange.
Agent Orange, yes. And did he have a claim in?
No, they didn't even tell him till he died that he had it.
That's Vietnam. They ain't treat you Vietnam.
And
vets.
the Vietnam vets are the ones, and I wrote that poem.
So
can I just say something, Miss Leslie? As a mom sitting here, I've been communicating with Aaliyah for the past couple of days. And she has an iPhone. And so Friday, her messages were blue. Well, Saturday, her messages started turning green.
You know why?
And she wasn't responding to me. And so I immediately got worried. I'm just talking about a mom with your child in the military.
You know why her messages turned green?
Wait a minute, let her finish.
She could have been on duty or anything. I'm just saying the mental state of a mom when your child is in the military. Immediately you begin to become concerned because they're not responding, right? And so there are so many aspects of this that we don't consider when our spouse, our children are in the military. Just something just that simple, you know, of her not responding, and then the messages not being blue, they're green. Immediately, I'm like, and I'm immediately, Yahweh Sabaoth, protect her. You know, texting her sister, have you guys heard from Aaliyah? You know, when you're a military mom or dad or parent or wife or husband, these mental challenges we face all the time. And I know that it could have been a number of reasons, but the first thing we do is we become concerned.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Prophetess Leslie, do you have an iPhone?
I don't have it down here. I do. I don't have it with me.
Okay, so when your messages turn green, that means you got to go back into your settings or her setting and connect to tell the settings what type of phone she has. When you have iPhone to iPhone, your messages are blue. When you have iPhone to Samsung, the messages come green. Unless you designate what type of phone that is, that can throw you off, Minister Wanda, and you hit the nail on the head, is because it's where she's sitting, what kind of tower that she's on. And me, I have Verizon. That's another thing. I'm gonna share with you, ladies, and Verizon is designated as the federal mandated cellular in case of emergencies. Now, with that, when 9/11 occurred, which I was sitting up in there traumatized in the classroom, once 9/11 occurred, you notice they shut everybody else comes off. No AT&T, no T-Mobile, only Verizon is designated. So where, depending on her location and where she is, that's why it's turning blue and green. You understand where I'm coming from? So don't really be worried. Just find another way to use the other apps like WhatsApp or something like that. It's so much into intel also with the government system. A lot of people don't know that. It's just so much.
It is. And I don't know if it went the way it was supposed to go, but I thank you guys for being here. One of the things that's very important, Team Charles said, when he was in the service in the 80s, and they still do this, the military used this statement to justify taking our rights away, and the military needing comes first. And that's what they do. They transform your mind, and they break you down.
Yeah.
And you know, and we just see the person coming back, but we don't know what they've been through, even when they went to boot camp.
You don't.
Just that simple. We don't know the facts of it. But what I wanted to make everybody aware of, I'm going to let Daphne do a poem. We're at the top of the hour. And then I have a song I want to close out with. It's very important that we understand that they've given up their life to save ours.
Yeah.
And Rodney, I don't know if you have anything. I thank you so much for both of you being here. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add. I know you're a man of few words because your wife does all the talking, but
it's been that way all the time.
Yeah, I just know how to talk.
Extrovert, introvert. He's an introvert. I'm an extrovert.
I understand, Mr. Rodney. I do.
But we do really appreciate this. We thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on today. It is important to my heart that we begin to honor the men and women on a different level that has and are serving our country. This week we know is Veterans Day, those that have retired, you know, and we appreciate those that retired no matter what the cost was. Thank you that you took the time to spend your life in the service. When you spend 30 and 40, I don't even know if you can go up to 40 years in the service.
You can.
Okay, 30 and 40 years in the service, that's your life. That's your life from your family That's your life from society and so many aspects of it. And we do appreciate it. And I just wanted to spend today just to say thank you. That was the main reason to be here today, to say thank you. Those of you that are still on the field, still fighting. My nephew, we're not allowed to know where he is.
Exactly.
And just to for you to give of yourself, even now in this day and age, we want to say thank you. So Daphne, you said you have a poem.
It's just words. You and Minister Wanda are so awesome. Y'all covered a lot, but I wrote this morning. Just want people to know. It says veterans and military personnel experience a lot while serving their country. You can show support by sharing passages of love, comfort, and gratitude from Yahweh's word. Our veterans and military people made ultimate sacrifices. Portions of their lives were spent away from loved ones at times when they needed love the most. They sacrificed and served out of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Our Vietnam veterans never received a proper home welcome. They are still seeking proper recognition. Some of them were drafted and then returned home to fight segregation. There would be no freedom if veterans and military personnel had not served in our armed forces. Maintaining peace and order is exactly what they do. They risk their lives, abandon comfort, and undergo trials to protect the country while many of you are soundly sleeping. They are busy doing their duties to ensure the rest of the country is safe. This Veterans Day, share Yahweh's word so our veterans and military personnel can experience his love.
Love it, love it,
Excellent.
love it. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. And Daphne still works doing things behind the scene to help the military. So we thank you, Daphne and Ronnie. Ronnie's the driver and Daphne does the work.
No, yeah, Minister, Past Prophet, you don't really get. Let me explain. Ronnie is infantry. I have to keep him calm. That's the thing. There was an incident when one time he went off and they came screaming, Sergeant, you gotta come, Sergeant Martin, he's going off, he's upset. And when I got to him, I was like, what's going on? What happened? And literally, that's the battle buddy between him and I. There are times when I have to go to him and I can see it. I said, babe, are you okay? And he'll say, I said, okay, you go in your corner over there or in that room and I'll stay over here. That's the secret. Now the secret is out, but he's that way for a reason because he has seen a lot too. So I have to be the calm before the storm.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I love y'all. Thank you.
And the fact that you both were in together, that's amazing. There's a lot of homes, and we don't even have time to go into what that's like when you have children and you can't be deployed at the same time. You can't be in the it's a whole lot to it. So let me end with this. I thank everybody for being here. Hopefully they'll let me play this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And now to honor America, especially the brave men and women serving our nation in the Persian Gulf and throughout the world, please join in the singing of our national anthem. The anthem will be followed by a flyover of F-16 jets from the 56th Tactical Training Wing at MacDill Air Force Base and will be performed by the Florida Orchestra under the direction of Maestro Yaha Ling and sung by Grammy Award winner Whitney Houston.
At the
So thank you all for being here. I wanted to end with that. There were so many things I didn't get to cover, but I'm glad that we did get a chance to do that. And until we meet again, I pray that the rest of your day would be a blessing and that you would just remember, don't take it for granted because it's Veterans Day. Don't take it for granted because you live in a country that is free. You might hate it. You might not like it, but you're here. Honor those that are protecting you. Even though you might think it should be different. Whatever you think, it is what it is. And I hate to use that word, but you need to be appreciative for the country, bad or good, has honored you. Why do I say honored? They protect you. Have an amazing day till we meet again. Amen.
Shalom.